Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome online today. We are going to be hearing from our founder, Steve Scott, in just one moment. But some of you may or may not speak fluent English, so you can read along with closed captions. So have a quick listen to this.
Por favor, vaya a la parte inferior de la pantalla en Zoom o YouTube y haga clic en subtítulos para leer en español.
Kérlek, menjünk képernyő aljára, a Zoomon vagy a YouTube-on, a Closed Caption részre, és ott el tud olvasni magyarul a feliratot.
Silakan klik di layar bawah pada Zoom atau YouTube dan klik caption untuk membaca dalam bahasa Indonesia.
Pour les sous-titres en français, veuillez cliquer au bas de votre écran Zoom ou YouTube sur CC ou Closed Captions.
Zoom または YouTube の画面の下部に移動し、字幕をクリックして日本語で読んでください。
請到屏幕底部點閱隱藏字幕以閱讀中文。
Παρακαλώ πηγαίνετε στο κάτω μέρος της οθόνης, στο Zoom ή στο YouTube και κάντε κλικ στους υπότιτλους για να τα διαβάσετε στα ελληνικά.
請到屏幕底部點擊隱藏字幕以閱讀中文.
אנא עברו לתחתית המסך בזום וביוטיוב ולחצו על תרגום לכתוביות בעברית.
Proszę zejść na dół ekranu na Zoomie lub YouTubie i kliknąć napisy, żeby przeczytać po polsku.
Beautiful. So many languages, so many countries. So for those of you just logging on, please join me in welcoming your MC for today, which is Phoebe Wallace, a founding member of Neumi in Australia.
Hello, 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 and welcome from right across the world. We can genuinely say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening because we're in all time zones, because the company is now practicing in 74 countries. So it's beautiful. And I'd love to welcome everybody. There's people here from all time zones. There's Perth, there's Canada, there's the Philippines, there's Charleston in the USA, there's Arizona, there's New Zealand, Indonesia. Wow, this is great. Canada again, Alberta again, Florida. So welcome to everybody on the call this morning. And this is a real delight for me because I've known Stephen Scott, the founder of our company, for over 17 years now. In fact, the first time I saw him was when he was being interviewed by Larry King, when he'd written that wonderful book, that wonderful book that
Richest Man.
The Richest Man, yes. Exactly. It was all about King Solomon. And I came home from night duty in the morning, went on Amazon and bought the book. And that's where our relationship started. He was the founder of the previous company. And then 3.5 years ago, he launched what he now describes as the greatest thing that he can bring to the world. So it's very exciting. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Steve, to bring all your knowledge and wisdom to us this morning.
Well, thank you, Phoebe. And Phoebe has been a dear friend since about 2008. And that's good news, bad news. It's good news because she, on a 1 to 10 as a human being, is as close to a perfect 10 as a person can be. It's bad news is because we know each other so well. She knows all my warts and knows she likes me anyway, which is a testimony to her kindness and grace that she extends to me. You know, we all make mistakes. We all have flaws. And our dearest friends in life, here I got to type English there. Our dearest friends in life that know us long enough get to see our flaws. And we don't understand it, but people like us anyway. And it's not a tribute to us, it's a tribute to the person that is kind and graceful and forgiving. And Phoebe is an example to me in so many ways. And because I've known her for so long, she's an example that has held true to her values and faith, as so many of you are. And but I haven't known you as long as I've known Phoebe. Michael and I go back to where I've seen him on the top of Mount Everest and in the Mariana Trench, which is the lowest place on planet Earth. It's 36,000 feet underwater. And I've seen Michael in both places, where he's been high as a kite and as low as a human can be, thinking, I've lost everything. I'll never, I don't know how I'm going to get to the next day. And yet, in God in his mercy and grace to Michael, me, he brings us back. He sustains us and lets us continue on and make great relationships. And Neumi is that it's so nice to see Phoebe starting to struggle with words. It's after COVID, man, I'll tell you, I lost a third of my vocabulary. It was crazy. And if it wasn't for this baby right here, Nero, and NutraSwish, which I don't have a bottle. Oh, here I have the sample bottle because that's what I've been using today. NutraSwish, I think I've regained about 90% of my lost vocabulary, but I still struggle with words. I still struggle with names from time to time, but I'm older than Phoebe, quite a bit older. I'm 76, and but I don't feel like it. I feel like, honestly, like most of you, I think our emotional age locks down somewhere between 25 and 35 for most people. And the body gets older. Our kids get a lot older. And then we have grandkids, and now I have grandkids that have graduated from college. How can that be for a 35-year-old? And yet that's what I feel. One of my sons that works by my side, he's my administrative assistant. He helps me with my books in a huge way, but he also helps me in our Neumi business. He and I have been working on a document today, and I just want to introduce him to those that don't know. Come on over, Sean. So that we even share an office now, so we don't have to yell at each other. This is my youngest son, Sean. He has 4 children, 4 of my grandchildren, and let's see, he was born in 95, so that makes you 29? Wow. His grandpa was fighting in World War II as a bomber pilot in the South Pacific, for those of you that are in the Pacific.
That picture right there.
Yeah, that picture right there, when he was 29. So Sean is my dad's age when he made minimum 45 terror-filled, life-threatening missions. And yet here we are today. I know people in Australia are grateful for how things turned out in World War II, and I wouldn't be born because I wasn't born until 1948, 3 years after the war ended. But Sean is a great dad.
For an Aussie pilot.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. An Aussie pilot saved my dad's plane. Is that crazy? All of a sudden, he's flying. He's limping back. The ship had been shot up pretty good, and he's limping back across the Pacific to his base. The whole formation that was left, they got just nailed on that mission. And the ones that were making it back were way ahead. He was separated. Yeah, there he is. And from out of nowhere, 12 fighters, enemy fighters, attacked his one plane. And this is in one of my books, but he said, Dad, or Steve, we were done. We had no hope. This was it. Me and my crew of 9 were going to drown in the Pacific Ocean. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes an Australian fighter. And he said, I always felt safer when Aussies were guarding us, because I never figured out if they were just the most courageous pilots in the sky or the craziest, because things they did, nobody else had the guts to do. And he said, I don't know if it was all courage or if it was half courage and half crazy. And now that I know so many Australians, I have to say it's half and half, and for sure. And but he started going after the 12 planes, the Aussie pilot. He shot down 3 in just a few minutes. It was amazing. And the other 9 thought, we don't want any more from this guy. They cut and run. And it saved my dad's plane. So I'm here. And he said, where he really got crazy, Steve, he had done what he was supposed to do. He saved our plane. But that wasn't enough for him. He started chasing the other 9. He said, I have no idea how many others he took out, but this guy, and he says, I never got a tail number. I don't know who it was, but I'm here because I'm an Aussie pilot. And that was Dad only told me 2 stories from World War II, and that was one because he knew he was done. And but that has nothing to do with this call. But Sean's here, and Sean knows my heart. And so I'm just grateful for all of you. And Sean, you go home. He's supposed to go home. He was supposed to go home an hour ago, but we had a document that we had to get out.
Yep.
Hey, thank you, sweetie. So we are a Neumi family. And those of you who have been around long enough know that you don't get treated as mere distributors, that you call your upline calls somebody, they call Michael calls us. We get more, we were at a board meeting today, and it was mentioned, Michael doesn't just text one of us when he has a problem. He texts 4 of us, thinking one of the 4 will get back to him sooner than the other 3. And it always happens. One of us does. He gets me sometimes, he gets Aaron sometimes he gets Chris, and sometimes he gets Ryan. But we're a family. We love that about Michael. We love that he cares enough because he sees things that we don't see since he's in the trenches with you all. And but anytime today I was on the phone with 185 Greeks. 185 Greeks. That's a huge Zoom call. And, of course, we have a translator. And but I had a chance to share with them what an incredible breakthrough our hydrostat technology is. And every day we see more and more evidences of that. The guy on the phone from Greece, the translator, he said, let me tell you why I'm getting emotional. He says, I'm in a wheelchair. And until our product came along, he hadn't stood up since he was 9 years old. I'd get emotional. I can't even talk about it. That's why we're here, because we have a breakthrough that impacts every cell, every tissue, every organ, every joint, every muscle. We impact the human body in so many different ways. And it's not that we're so great. That's the miracle molecule. All we've done is find an incredible way to deliver it. For those of you who haven't heard it before, we're talking about glutathione. And glutathione by itself, when it gets into the cytoplasm, it needs a little bit of help. So we have found the best, what we believe, the best cofactors to go along with it, one of which, well, I won't even get into it because I don't want anybody to get a hint and take it to someplace else. But we have a number of cofactors, and there are a few that just turn a little key. It's like kind of like a combination lock. So glutathione turns it to here, and then you add the cofactors, and all of a sudden the lock opens up, and it opens up the gateway to human health and performance. And it is amazing what we have seen. And today was just a blessing to me. I didn't know we had 185 people in Greece. We already have a diamond there. We have a new diamond in Poland. I mean, it's amazing what's happened. By the way, what does a rank mean? All it means is you're impacting more lives. Yes, you make more money. Yes, you have a little bit more recognition and esteem. But you know what? If the only person you ever influenced was that guy who translated today, you never reached anybody else. And he can't even talk about our product without crying. The other day, I had a gal on the phone, and I thanked her for what she had done because she had done something pretty cool. And she started crying. And if you know personality types, she's a lion. Phoebe's a lion. Michael's a lion. There's quite a few lions on this call. And I didn't, for a long time, didn't know lions even cry because we're tough. I mean, we're go-getters, man, get in our way. And until we learn moderation, we kind of run over people. But when I was going through a tragedy back in 1999, and my mentor was a guy named Gary Smalley, who was the master at all these personality types. And I start sobbing on the phone. And I said, Gary, I don't know what's wrong. I'm a lion. I'm not supposed to cry. He says, oh no, lions have marshmallow hearts. And he said, if the right button is pushed, a lion will cry like crazy. And I said, you never told me that. I've written 2 books that go into personality types. I've taught thousands of people personality types. You never told me we had marshmallow hearts. And there was one Marine Corps colonel that he and I both know. He was national security advisor to President Reagan. And this guy's, man, he's damned the torpedoes full speed ahead. I said, I'll bet Ollie North doesn't cry. He said, he's got 3 buttons that I found, and I can push any one of them. And he starts crying like a baby. So if you're a lion, like Phoebe or Michael, I've seen Michael cry. Phoebe, I've seen the other side. I've seen Phoebe really angry at me when I've screwed up, but I deserved even more wrath. She balanced it with kindness because I really, really did some stupid stuff, and for which I'm deeply, deeply, grievously sorry for. But you know what? I look at the faces here and I'm just so grateful for all of you. So what do we have? Well, I was introduced in 2006 to a miracle molecule. It performs over 400 functions in the human body. Many of those are critical to life. If we took glutathione away from planet Earth, all life would die. Plants, trees, flowers, fish, birds, humans, doggies, kittens, we all die in minutes. That's how vital it is. It is our cellular first line of defense. Anytime anything goes wrong with a cell, a bacterial assault, a viral assault, an injury, anything that creates oxidative stress, the first thing the cell does is, do we have any glutathione available? And if it does, it can counterattack and take care of things. How fast your T cells, your immune system responds to a viral or bacterial insult is entirely dependent on glutathione. If you have high levels, you win. It attacks quickly. If you have low levels, while the virus or bacteria is growing rapidly and reproducing rapidly, if you have low levels of glutathione, your T cells, the assassins, reproduce slowly, so the virus or bacteria wins. If you have higher levels, the T cells can reproduce explosively, and you have a real good shot of winning, recovering faster, avoiding death, and so on. So that's just its impact on the immune system. What it's best known for is its antioxidant value. Now, why is that important? Well, oxidative stress is our mortal enemy. It is basically, I was just writing a paper on it, it's what slows down recovery from wounds. It's what slows down our immune response. It opens the gateway to 78 disease classes, oxidative stress does. What causes oxidative stress? Well, every cell in our body is attacked by 10 to 20,000 free radicals every day. And those free radicals they're scavengers. They want to steal an electron from the cell. And when that happens, it creates oxidative stress, too much oxygen for the cell to produce. And guess what happens? That oxidative stress creates more free radicals, but it also creates inflammation. Inflammation obstructs the normal functioning of the cell. Michael, do you have a picture of the cell? A slide, let's show them. See, you think of a cell as just something that's really nothing. Look at the complexity. Every cell in your body, you have 37 trillion of them, is more complex than the most complex machine ever built by mankind. More systems that are integrated and synergistic and working together. Well, inflammation obstructs that. Imagine, look at this beautiful cell and all those parts are moving and using up energy and functioning the way the DNA has programmed the function. And now you drop a piece of mud in there. Well, now it's not going to function. Well, that mud really doesn't get dropped in there, but inflammation does. So inflammation is really bad. Back to me. So how do we counter oxidative stress and the free radicals created by oxidative stress and the free radicals that create oxidative stress? It's a vicious cycle. Well, with antioxidants. An antioxidant will donate one of its electrons to the free radical. And when that donation takes place, it sequesters or neutralizes that free radical. Now, everybody's heard of a lot of antioxidants. You got vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin D, vitamin A, CoQ10, superoxide dismutase, catalase, glutathione, N-acetylcysteine, and on and on. Well, all antioxidants except glutathione are what we call monofocus. Now, there is a spectrum of free radicals, okay? So you have free radicals that are sourced from the nitrogen in your body. Some are sourced from the hydrogen. Some are sourced from the oxygen in your body. Most free radicals are oxygen sourced. Why? Because most of them are created during the metabolic process within the cell. Now, unfortunately, all antioxidants are monofocus, so each one can take out one type but can't take out the other. So vitamin C can handle this type of free radical right there, but it can't handle any of those. Vitamin E might take out that one, superoxide dismutase, catalase, vitamin A, but they can't handle all of them. Glutathione is called the master antioxidant because it can sequester, capture, neutralize all types of free radicals, regardless of their structure, composition, or source. So it is a miracle molecule. And you think, well, is oxidative stress really bad? Well, think about wound healing. If a wound takes too long to heal, what do you get? You get sick, you get infection, you may get sepsis. Phoebe is a nurse. I'm sure she's seen hospital-acquired diseases and sepsis in patients. And they can kill you. There's 100,000 people a year in the United States that die from hospital-acquired diseases. So we want those wounds to heal as fast as possible, but the inflammation caused by oxidative stress slows down the wound healing. In fact, my previous company, there was an article published on a study, a heart surgeon from Harvard, Dr. Alan Saltman, who was also a PhD in biochemistry, took my old product that we had the patent on, and it related to a precursor being upregulated into the cell so the cell could create more of its own glutathione. And this heart surgeon heard that this countered inflammation, this particular compound. So he thought if it does that, it ought to accelerate the healing of a wound. So he did a study. It was amazing. It cut the wound healing time in half and was published in October of 2014 in the American Journal of Surgery. Well, that particular product, it was really a good product, but it was nothing compared to what we have today. And so we see things that nobody ever imagined. And because we are a supplement and because we are an over-the-counter topical, we do not make any medical claims. We have to give the disclaimer on our label, in fact, that says we do not treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any disease state. And however, what happens is there's some pretty good things that happen on the side when you take our product. And one, of course, is your glutathione levels are impacted in a positive way. Your glutathione levels decline by 8 to 15% per decade. I'm 76, so best case is I've got 60% less glutathione than I had at the age of 20, but the desperate need for glutathione never goes down. It only goes up. So the need for glutathione goes up, the availability goes down. Guess what happens? 78 disease classes of aging, cardiovascular disease, neurological diseases, cancer, diabetes, to name a few. There's an article that's written on this, and it's a good article to read if you want to read something that it goes a little deep, but there's enough you'll be able to get through. The abstract, it's it was published in 2009 in the Journal of the Cell, and you can look it up. I think it's published the etiology of, oh no, the dysregulation of glutathione and the etiology of human disease. In other words, the declining of glutathione and the development and progression of human disease. And in that, these scientists prove that lower glutathione opens the door to all of these diseases. It's a great article. But it came out in 2009, and it was given to me, believe it or not, by a medical doctor from Nigeria, but it was published in an American journal. It was done by the University of Rochester Medical School. It's an amazing article. So anyway, glutathione does all these good things. It protects the immune system. It detoxifies your cell. Now, there's a microbiologist out of Georgia, Dr. Dean Jones at Emory University, and he's a brilliant microbiologist, well-published, and he was addressing a symposium for cancer prevention. And he made this statement. He said, if we want to prevent cancer, we must find ways to elevate glutathione levels in the cell. This is before we existed as far as our product. So it's not about our product. He says, let me explain. He said 95% of all cancers gain traction in the human body when the mitochondrial DNA is broken. What breaks the mitochondrial DNA is the chemical load in the cell. Now, everybody on this call has at least 200 industrial chemicals in your body right now that aren't supposed to be there. Now, we can only say 200 because that's all they measured for 217, and they found all 217 in all 2,000 people that they measured, which was a cross-section here in the United States. If they had measured for 500, they might have found 500. We don't know. They were shocked that everybody, all 2,000 subjects, had all 217 chemicals in their body. So glutathione works. It has this real sticky sulfhydryl molecule that's like flypaper, and it sticks to the chemical, and then it helps get that out of the cell. It also chelates the cell from heavy metals. Some of you, I don't think Phoebe was around when we had Mark Victor Hansen, but Mark Victor Hansen wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, and he was told by Harvard that he didn't have long to live because he had mercury poisoning, and no matter what chelation therapy they used, they could not lower his level. And I gave his girlfriend, who was at a writer's conference with me, our product to help her out because she had some energy problems. This is my old product. And she takes it home, and Mark's feeling real low. He's sick. They've been to Harvard twice. The chelation didn't work. She gives him some, and within 30 days, he starts feeling alive again, goes back to Harvard. His mercury level had dropped from the high toxic level down to 0. That's because glutathione went up, toxicity went down, and mercury is, of course, a heavy metal, and it got chelated through glutathione. Now, that was a different product, but the biochemistry is the same. Raise glutathione levels, and you've got more detoxification in the cells. Now, when we first developed this breakthrough, it's a breakthrough because we were able to encapsulate glutathione molecules in water matrices, ultra-pure water that's about 40% more pure than hospital IVs, 25% more pure than the water that's used in the pharmaceutical industry. So we get it real pure, then we throw it into a reactor with nanoparticles, and that water is real active because it has nothing to grip onto. And we've also separated just a little separation of the hydrogen molecules, and it grabs the particles, encapsulates them. Aha. Now we have an encapsulation with water. Now, it won't get it through the stomach because glutathione is so fragile that the stomach destroys it. But it lets us keep the particle size so small that it instantly absorbs into the mucosa, the mucous membranes inside your cheeks, and into your bloodstream. And according to a scientist from the University of Utah, a nanoscientist, from the time we get into the bloodstream until the time we get out of the bloodstream and into the cells, 70 to 80 seconds. She actually said 70 seconds, so I'll cushion it and say 80. She said 1 pass of circulation. Well, do you know that we have found that not only with athletes, because athletes will swish our product 30 minutes or 5 minutes before a workout, and their performance goes way up, and their recovery after the workout accelerates. Okay, 5 minutes before. Well, we have a distributor that started using it with her athletic horses. She competes in equestrian events. And it was so mind-boggling what happened that a veterinarian, a horse vet of 30 plus years, did a study that hasn't been published yet, but we've gotten a little peek at some of the results. Do you know we reduced the blood markers for oxidative stress? Normally, it would take an antioxidant 2 to 4 weeks to see the reduction that they saw with our product in 2 to 4 minutes. That's unheard of. Nothing else does it. That's what we have. That's one tiny little quote from the article. Athletic horses, I'll give you this one just because we see such results with athletes, and horses are no different. But the athletic horses, when they compete in an athletic event, whether it's a horse race of a thoroughbred or an equestrian event, polo match, their heart rate goes real fast. It can go 2.5 times faster than its resting rate. There's a bigger multiple than with humans. And when they finish that event, the heart keeps beating real fast, but they're no longer exercising, and they're at high risk for heart attack, stroke, AFib, or having their stomach turn upside down, or even going into colic. And colic kills a lot of horses every year. Well, no matter what they do, they can't get that pulse rate back to its resting rate for at least 30 minutes. Well, they did a test where half the horses got the product, the other half didn't. They gave the product about 5 or 10 minutes before the event, and immediately upon conclusion of the event, and the heartbeat came back to normal within 2 to 5 minutes. Nothing in the world does that. That's the breakthrough we have, and we impact every cell in the body. The first people I used it with were athletes because I knew it should make a difference in athletic performance. Let me see how much time we have. Yeah, we have enough time. Let's pull up Bill Gillespie real quick. So this is Bill. I've known him I've known him since 2008. And in 2008, Bill set the world record in the bench press. He's drug tested afterwards because he competes as an amateur, and he benched 800. Well, we'll show you. Here, let's go to his chart. He benched 804 pounds, which is 300 and some odd kilos. 804 pounds to kilos. Oh, good. The answer is 364 kilos. So at 49, he bench pressed 364 kilos. And that was 2008. I called him in 2018 after we had developed this technology, and I said, "How you doing?" He said, "Not good." I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "Steve, my lift is down to around 700 pounds. He said, I used to be able to lift heavy 4 times a week. Now, because of my slow recovery, I can only lift heavy once a week. I've lost lean muscle." I said, "Bill, 700 pounds for a 59-year-old is a lot of weight." He said, "Yeah, it's a world record, but I don't get to compete with the elite guys anymore." And so we sent him the product. Now, oxidative stress causes inflammation, and he told me he had a problem with inflammation. But look what happened. That problem went away. And at the age of 60, he bench pressed 1,050 pounds. And at 62, right before he retired, it was actually his retirement meet, he benched 1,129.8 pounds. That's 512 kilos. And that was in 2022. Now, look at that. He's lifting at 62, 40% more weight than he could lift at his prime 13 years earlier. Back to me, please. That just doesn't happen. but it does happen when you reduce oxidative stress. Oxidative stress, once again, it's your mortal enemy to every function of every cell, tissue, organ, joint, ligament in your body. Inflammation is not our friend. So I see somebody. Who is that? Oh, it's Jackie. Yeah, the Southern Hemisphere is in summer. We're in the fall. And so it's nice and cool here, which is why I have a sweater on. But now I'm ADD and I just lost my train of thought. But anyway, so we started seeing a huge difference with athletes. They recover on average about 80% faster. On our medical board, in fact, he's in Miami, Florida today, but from Europe is Dr. Osorio, who runs about 20 sports medicine clinics in Europe with professional athletes and world-class amateur athletes. And when I told him some of these results from the horse study, he said, Steve, when are you going to start listening? We see the same thing with humans. Well, one thing they measured that we didn't see with the horses, but could be measured, was the onset and progression of lactic acidosis, the production of lactic acid, because that not only inhibits your performance, but it slows down your recovery because the lactic acid is what destroys the muscle cells. Well, he found out, he measured it, and for elite athletes that are endurance athletes, runners, it delays the onset of lactic acidosis by 16.7%. And I said, Dr. Osorio, is that good? He said, is it good? He said, it's the biggest athletic game changer we've ever seen. We've never been able to move the needle in the onset of lactic acidosis by 1%. He said, you're giving a runner 2 additional kilometers before their body even starts to make lactic acid. Well, guess what I found out? Horses in races, thoroughbreds, get into lactic acidosis while they're running around the track. Now, they haven't discovered our product yet, but they will in the next 24 months. And so anyway, we have a product that makes a difference in people's lives. There are probably people on this phone that could tell you amazing stories. Yeah, see, there goes the hands. I could show you pictures, but if the FDA ever saw these pictures, that would constitute a medical claim, and we're not allowed to make medical claims, and they could shut us down. But we show it to doctors and scientists to prove the biochemistry. Well, when we get this study, we have I won't even tell you, we've got some really good stuff coming. But with that study, we can prove biochemically that our product works the way we say it works. They even measured the effect of the glutathione on the skeletal muscles of the horse. Everything turned out beyond belief. So, but we see it with humans, and we're into humans. We see it with humans of all ages. And that's why we're here. You're part of the Neumi family. Well, one of our athletes ended up having an accident, tore up her face. She got home. This is in 2018. She put it on cotton balls, put it on her face. And the plastic surgeon had said it would take 5 weeks for the face to heal from the road rash and the abrasions. Well, in 5 days, it was 7 days. Let's see, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it was 6 days of topical application, completely clear, not a mark, not a scar. The plastic surgeon had never seen anything like it. I've owned 5 cosmetic companies in my lifetime with my partners, and I always have to do the marketing. And when I saw the before and after, I go, oh my gosh, we may have the world's best skincare product. Now, we can't show you medical pictures that we have, but we can show you before and after pictures on skincare. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to be done for the night. So this was I sent out spray bottles with the product. No, let's go back to her, please. And I'm going to show additional thing. And we sent out spray bottles, if I can find this one album. Here we go, albums. Oh, good. Here we go. And I said, spray your face 5 times a day for 8 weeks, take the before and after. Well, this is the very first before and after that came back. She was 59 at the time, Sherry Warner, Phoebe and a lot of you people know her. And when I got that, I was in shock. I thought, oh my gosh, we do have the best. I sent it to my former formulator, who was president of the American Association of Cosmetic Chemists, and had become the head formulator for the company that created Botox. And when he saw it, he said, Steve, I hate to tell you, she's had a facelift. There's no topical product that can do that. Botox can. I mean, he said, look at the wrinkles in her neck. Look at her eyes. Look around her eyes, her forehead. Look how much brighter her skin is. Look how it opened up her eyes. He said, that's plastic surgery. I said, no, she owns a farm, lives on a farm, works on a farm. She's never had a scalpel touch her face, which is all true statement. And he said, well, you've got something nobody else in the world has. I said, I know. So look at some of the before and afters we've gotten since then. Oh, before we go, come back to me for 1 minute, just 1 minute, and then we'll show the other before and after. Now, Phoebe, that was after 7 weeks. Now, 6 years later, she is no longer in her 50s. She's 64. Look at that. Let's see, you can't really see it that well, but you can kind of see it. Let's see, I want to see, maybe if I pull it back. No. Anyway, she looks younger and better now at 64 than she did at 59. And now we can go to the other pictures. But that's why you keep using it. I had one doctor recently who is also a scientist. He said, do you have to use it every day? I said, do you have to breathe oxygen and drink water every day? He said, glutathione is no different. Your glutathione is constantly being used up. You got to constantly be renewing the source of glutathione. So yes, you do have to do it every day. Next, we'll run through these real quick. Those are my hands. Ryan wanted me to do a half face. I said, I don't want to do a half face, but I will spray my right hand and not my left hand. I was 71 at the time, so that was 5 years ago. Look at the difference. Next. Okay, this lady's 84. I love this. And look at her neck. Look at her mouth, her cheeks. And we asked her, how often do you spray? She said, I don't know. I keep bottles all over the house, and anytime I pass one, I spray. And she also swishes. Next. Now, this is Irene's mother. She's here. She was 80. Irene is Greek and was on the phone today. And she said, oh, that's my mom. And she had told me that before. Well, her mom went from what she called, not me, she said, I had old lady legs. Now I have young lady legs. Pretty cool. Next. This is an esthetician. She owns her own skincare salon in Miami. She says, I can't wait 8 weeks. This is what happened after 8 days. She said, Steve, where did my pores go? Look how much brighter my skin is. Look how it's opened up my eyes. And we see that across the board. All of those results are universal. So write down these words: brighter, tighter, smoother, younger. Now, this lady is 60 years old. I met her last year, and this was after 1 month, but here's what happened after 6 months. That's why you keep using it. Erin and I met her. We thought she was probably early to mid 40s. We had no idea she was 60 years old. Next. So that's a side-by-side, pretty big difference. Once again, look how it opens up the eyes. And yes, sometimes there's different lighting, definitely here, but it does brighten the skin. Now we're about to open Japan, and guess what their #1 desire is for skincare? Brighter, whiter skin. Next, at least that's what I've been told. They buy almost 25% of the world's over-the-counter skincare. This man's in his 60s. Look at the difference in 6 weeks. I mean, tighter, brighter, younger, smoother. Next. Next, that's mainly dehydration that makes all of that difference. Next. Okay, she's young, but look at how it changed. It made her skin tone so even. Where did her pores go? Look how much smoother. Amazing. Next. And 10 days. This is Sherry's mom, and she was 80 at the time. Look at the difference it made in 3 weeks. Spraying 5 times a day for 3 weeks. Next. This is a smoker, and that was in 8 weeks. She's in her 60s. Pretty dramatic. 6 days. Pretty dramatic. Different lighting, of course. This is melanin management. That's why it's no longer black on the upper half of her face. It's more brown. And that was in 4 weeks. That's the mother of a doctor in Nigeria who gave her the product and said, let's try it on, Mom. That was the spray. This is Australia, sun damage. Next. Okay, this guy, he's one of my favorites. He's 94 years old. And he says, I like the new look, but what I really like is I feel like the guy on the right, not the guy on the left. And I thought that was really cool. So next, and she's 87. She's in Hungary. We were in Hungary this year. I was with Ryan. And look at that, 7 weeks. And we asked her, how often did you spray and swish? She sprayed 5 times a day. And she swished, she said, 3 to 4 times a day. That's pretty dramatic. I mean, you know what? We'll look at one more just for fun, I think. That's an 80-year-old in Canada, Chinese man. Okay, back to me. Now, why is it significant, these results? Number one, everybody wants nicer looking, healthier skin. You want to slow down the aging process. It's not really the aging process. It's called accelerated aging. You want to slow down accelerated aging, and glutathione does that by reducing oxidative stress. But the biochemical action that is happening on your largest organ, which is your skin, when you get it into your bloodstream and into your body, you're also getting it in your brain, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, your muscles, your joints, and on and on and on. And that's the value. You can see what's going on to the skin, but you can't see what it's doing neurologically or cardiovascular. But it's the same biochemical activity. It's just different organs. So that's what we have. We have a family, by the way. If you ever travel, find the Neumi people in the country you're traveling to, because they're going to welcome you like family members. Phoebe, I heard we now have a little group growing in Croatia. And Phoebe's husband is from Croatia. And I've always heard what a beautiful country it is. And if it keeps growing, I'll get to go there. We're really growing in Poland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. Eastern Europe's going nuts. The Czech Republic, Hungary. It's crazy. You know, it's just amazing how the Lord is blessing us in so many areas of the world. But you know what? Blessing isn't the masses. Blessing is one-on-one. I look at what we've done in Michael's life. I never knew Phoebe to get as low as I saw Michael. I saw Michael pretty low. And I saw what we've been able to see come back from that. I know so many. Alex Monterosa was down to nothing. He got cheated in his last company out of a couple paychecks, and they didn't, it was very sad. So he was down to nothing. And now he and Michael are two of our top money earners. But you know what? Going down, Gary Smalley, leave this with you. Gary Smalley was one of the wisest men I ever knew. He was mentored by Corrie ten Boom. For those of you that know about Corrie, she wrote the book, The Hiding Place. She was in a concentration camp during World War II. And she mentored Gary in a lot of areas. But Gary used to tell me gratefulness is the only soil that sustainable happiness grows in. You can be happy for the moment, happy for the day, happy for the week, and before you know it, you're right back down. But gratefulness, on the other hand, grows sustainable happiness. And I've had people say, what should I be grateful for? Well, watch this. I'm going to breathe without pain. My dad died of lung cancer. Every breath was painful. I just breathed, no pain. Wow, I can see your faces, your smiles. I recognize you guys. Do you have any idea? Do you know there's over 1 trillion layers of cells that make up your eyes? They're in a matrix. And if that matrix goes like this, any one of those little screens goes like this, you're born blind. You are an amazing creation. You didn't happen by chance or by accident. And so we can be grateful for that. I'm still hearing without hearing aids. My wife says I got to be tested because she thinks just because I said, what did they say when the TV's on, that I need hearing aids. I don't think I do. Last time I was tested, I was just fine. But I am going to get tested because she deserves me to do what honors her. She honors me in so many ways. So all that to say, I'm grateful for every person on this call. I'm grateful that we're part of a family. I'm grateful two of my sons are in this business, so they get to thank you very much. Thank you, Jackie. And they get to now meet so many of you, work with you, and the family keeps growing. And any of you that have kids or grandkids that you think, boy, they ought to learn about Neumi, don't be afraid to get them on a call, because it's fun doing business with your family when you have good relationships. And that's one thing we work at in your back office. In fact, that's the first thing the Greek guy asked me to do today. He's a diamond. He said, tell him about what's in the back office. Tell him about the strategies you train us in. And then he looks at the camera and he says, it's changed my life. And they're not my strategies. They're out of the book of Proverbs. Gary taught me those strategies. My life changed when I learned how to effectively partner with the right people. Neumi is partnering. Sometimes we got bad partners. Watch out for those. Stay away from them. But most of the people in Neumi have great values and partner. I'm looking at Greg and Prue right now, and Camille, right? And there's so many wonderful people, and I hope you get to know each other. Well, we've gone way long. Surprisingly, we have more people than we started with, so that's good. I'm back live now, and I will be live, Lord willing, for the next few weeks. We'll probably take a break if it interferes with Christmas or New Year's. I don't think it does, but we'll keep doing our live calls now. If you have questions that you would like me to address, because so many of you are on this call regularly, please text the questions to your upline and have them text them to their upline, and then Michael can get the questions, and I'll be happy to start answering questions. We will have a little question and answer time during this call. And hopefully I'm going to have some really good news, because as soon as that study is published, I will be able to give you highlights. And the highlights quantify what's going on with our product, even in humans, even though there are Phoebe was quite a horse lady. Unfortunately, a horse broke her back when she was 16 years old because he fell on top of her. And but she still loves horses. Hey, did you do any? When you were back in Ireland, did you do any riding this summer, Phoebe? Oh, you're muted. No, she didn't. We're all getting at the age that when we break, it doesn't heal quite as fast. So I can understand that. My son Ryan's discovered horseback riding. They have horses down in the southern part of the state, and he loves riding. So anyway, God bless you all, and we'll see you next Thursday. Hope you have a great weekend. Thank you for your kindness. Michael?
Beautiful. Thank you, Steve. Great opportunity to meet our founder. And you'll probably realized if you're on this call that it's not just about an amazing product, it's also about the culture. And Steve from the top down is leading with his heart. And that's what I love about this company. Next week, I'll be away, just so you know, guys. Steve, you'll have Keith Chazon managing all your events.
Keith is good.
And we will have Tuesday. Our preferred international presenters will come on and do the business presentation. Wednesday will be members night with lots of recognitions. And then Steve will be back Thursday, USA time next week as well. And I'll be back the week after. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.